All right, today we're going to be doing this classifying elements activity, and you're going to watch this video, and I'm going to work through each lab bench. There's going to be 3 lab benches that we're going to visit. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at elements in their pure state, right? So we're going to be looking at matter in their pure state, meaning like all of the atoms are one type, okay? And what we're going to be starting off with, okay, is we're going to be looking at each lab bench. You need to identify 5 things, okay? The first one being color, okay? Whether something is, I feel like you can kind of determine what color something is. So just write down the colors in the space that you see. The next one is luster, and luster is whether something is shiny or not. So something that would be really shiny, like a mirror, would have a really high luster, and something that is really dull, like wood, would have a very low luster. Okay, so you're going to have to look at the elements and say, these things are all shiny, or these things are all dull, or they are high luster or low luster is another way. High luster is shiny, low luster is not shiny. Okay. The next one is malleability. Okay, whether something bends or not. All right. So if something is bendable, like this, all right, that is malleable. Something that is brittle, okay, it crumbles. If you could think of a piece of wood, right? I could bend a piece of wood and it would crack. Right, that's brittle. And elastic is something that I can bend, but it bounces back. Let's call that elastic. Okay, that's malleability. The next thing is state. Okay, state is whether something is solid, liquid, or gas. All you need to do is look and say, pretty sure those things are solid, pretty sure those things are gases, and it might be a combination of those things. And the last thing is called conductivity. Will electricity pass through it? And for that, I'm going to use a trusty friend called Sparky. And you'll be able to see the light bulb light up if it is conductive, and if it doesn't light up, then it is not conductive. And what I'll be doing is I'll be taking these 2 ends, all right, and I'll be touching them to this element, one into one end of the element, the other one to another one, and if electricity passes through it, that is called conductive. All right, here we are at lab bench number 1. All right, and I'm going to show you a variety of elements, and you're going to need to kind of determine what colors, again, color, luster, malleability, state, and conductivity. Okay, I might pause the video to set up the conductivity. All right, so here is the first element, copper. Okay, let's do colors first, copper. We've got zinc. We've got tin. Got magnesium. We've got iron. Aluminum. Cadmium. And here we have a tiny amount of gold. We've got nickel. I can just imagine a nickel. And I'm going to tip the camera here. We've got lead. And there's a couple more that I'm not going to pull out just because they're kind of dangerous, and I'll show you why they're dangerous later. We have sodium. Some sodium's in there. And lithium is in there as well. Okay. We've got calcium as well. And 2 others that I think fall into this category that you probably see fairly often are chromium. So any like chrome detailing on a car, it's made of chromium. And the other one is tungsten. Tungsten's not as common these days, but if you have like one of those old-fashioned light bulbs with a little filament between, the little filament is tungsten. All right, now let's look at malleability, actually luster. So I would say that this zinc here is pretty darn shiny. Now if we looked at a fresh piece of copper, right, copper there, it's pretty shiny, right? You think of gold, say the gold is pretty shiny. The cadmium is pretty shiny. The aluminum is pretty shiny. And the things that look dull, like maybe this older piece of copper, okay, just because they've been exposed to the air for a while, all right? The sodium that's in here also would be shiny if you saw a fresh piece of it, okay? So they have a high luster or they're shiny, all right? Now let's look at malleability, okay? So when I bend this piece of copper, is it going to bend? Is it going to bend and bounce back, or is it going to crumble, okay? So here's my copper. I'd say that bends, okay? Here's the aluminum. It bends. Okay, here's tin. Bends. All right, and pretty much everything here, it's really hard for me to get a piece of this out or to grab this piece of gold out, but all of those things would be malleable. All right, they wouldn't bounce back, they would just bend. All right, as you look around at these, for the most part, they're all solids, right? You've only seen solids so far. There's only one that falls into this category that isn't a solid, and we find that in the old thermometers, right? So in that little vial right there is some liquid mercury, but it is shiny, and it is bendable, but it is a liquid. So liquid is the one exception you can write. Mercury is the only exception, okay? All right, the last thing I'm gonna do here is the conductivity. Okay, I'm gonna move some stuff away here for a second. I'm not gonna check the conductivity of everything, all right? But I'm gonna check it on some of them. So we're gonna take a look at, I'm gonna check the copper, the aluminum, and the lead, all right? I would tell you that all of them would be the same, all right? But let's check the conductivity of these. So I'm gonna slide the camera over here for a second, all right? So I got my light bulb set up, okay? I've got my three things, lead, aluminum, and copper, all right? I'm gonna tip the camera down so you can see when I touch them. I also need to make sure you can see the light bulb. Okay, so I'm gonna be really careful with this. Because I can electrocute the crap out of myself if I'm not careful. All right, so you can see these things, all right? So I'm gonna plug this in, all right? I can check to see if it's working by taking the two ends, touching them together, and you'll see the light bulb light up, okay? Now let's check the conductivity. So here's lead. I'm going to take lead and attach it to, sorry, this is iron. Attach it to one side and touch the other one. Lights up. All right, here's aluminum. And here's copper. All right. Unplug before I kill myself. All right, that is lab bench number 1. Okay, I'm going to pause this, set up lab bench number 2, and then come back to you. Around with the sodium just because I think it's cool to see. So here you're going to see a video of someone taking a chunk of sodium, placing it in water, which is why I didn't mess around with it. That's why we don't mess around with sodium. All right, here we are at lab bench number 2. All right, so we're gonna see, let me double check. We're gonna see 6-ish elements here today, all right? So we're gonna kick off first by looking at 3 that are around us all the time. So we're gonna look at the space, the air around us, okay? The air in front of you. All right, it's made up of 3 major elements, all right? Those are nitrogen, oxygen, and argon, okay? And all 3 of those have no color. So colorless is one of the colors, right? Clear is the ability to see through something, but they are colorless, okay? They have no color. So I'm gonna show you something that is clear but has a color in a minute here, okay? So one thing is it is colorless. It's one of the colors, okay? Another color here, I'm gonna tip my webcam again, okay, is phosphorus. Right, if you look down in there, I got this red liquid, and it's phosphorus. I've got iodine. Just going to open up here. It's kind of hard to see in there. I apologize. All right. But iodine, if you've ever had an operation, they spread iodine on your skin. It's kind of a brownish color. In its gas state, it's purple. Okay, so we've got brown, purple, got that red. Okay, we've got color. This is 4 colors already. Okay. The next one I have here is sulfur. It's pretty darn yellow to me. And if you can see way down on the bottom, all right, it's crumbly. All right, I can't really bend this liquid. All right, but it is crumbly, so that's its malleability. It's brittle. Okay. And the last one here that I've got to show you, right, is bromine. Okay? Bromine here is a gas, so you know it's state. Okay, there's another state there. We've got gas, we've got solids, and we have liquids here. Here's bromine gas. We've got this orangish, brownish bromine gas. Okay, now I can see through it, right? But it has a color. So this is clear, meaning I can see through it, but it has a color. So it's clear, but has a color. That's brown. Okay, put that one away. This one's encased in a glass tube, so I can't check its conductivity. Okay. This is phosphorus. Use it to make the tips of match heads. So I'm not going to put a bunch of electricity on that one. All right. This one are these tiny little things, or it's a gas. I'm not going to check the conductivity on that. So the only one I got here with me today is sulfur. All right, I'm going to check its conductivity. So let's spin the camera over here. All right, you can see the light bulb. You can sort of see me. Got a chunk of sulfur. Put it out on the table. Plug this in. All right, check to see that it works. It does. Now let's check to touch the 2 pieces of sulfur. Not conductive. Okay, so this thing is not conductive. Like that. All right, kill myself. All right, put that away. Wrap that up. So you've got a bunch of colors there. Okay, you've got your luster. This one's pretty darn dull. All right, and everything else is like a gas or a liquid, so I would say it's pretty dull. Malleability, brittle. And then its state, we have a solid. We have a liquid. We got this gas around us, nitrogen, oxygen, argon. All right, and you just determined that it was not conductive. That's lab bench 2. I'm going to set up lab bench 3, and I'll be right back. All right, here we are at lab bench 3. Okay, so we've only got 3 elements on this one. All right, the first one is called antimony. All right. And if you look at antimony, all right, it's got some kind of sparkly spots and some sort of dull spots, okay? We call that, so it's part shiny, part dull, we call it sparkly, okay? Here's a big chunk of carbon, all right? Depending on how I angle it in the light, it might look just kind of shiny sometimes and dull other times, okay? It's kind of got that sparkly look. And the last one is silicon, okay? All right, silicon there. Also kind of has that sparkly look as I kind of twist it around. Okay, so those are the 3 colors. I kind of got these grays and blacks. I've got luster of sparkly, sort of in between shiny and not shiny. If I were to break it apart, okay, it's kind of hard to see it here, but way down at the bottom, I've got some crumbled pieces of antimony. This stuff is pretty brittle. Okay, you can think of a chunk of carbon, right? This thing's really light. I could break it just by squeezing it, okay? So this is brittle. And then you saw the states. All 3 of those things are solids, okay? And the last thing that we need to do is conductivity, okay? So I'm going to take a little piece of silicon here, put it on the table. I'm not going to use antimony. It's not really safe for me to touch large chunks of it, so I'm not going to touch that. All right. And this carbon chunk that I have is really airy. It's really light, but I'm going to take another form of carbon that I've got readily available in the form of graphite. Okay. So I took a pencil and I sharpened both ends, and right through the middle, all right, is graphite that you write with. Graphite is pure carbon. All right. I'm going to take both ends of that and see if I can get electricity to pass through my pencil. Okay. So first, I'm going to make sure I'm safe. I've got my silicon and my pencil. Okay, I'm going to plug this in. Okay, make sure it's safe. It is working. Okay, so first I'm going to take my piece of silicon. I'm going to touch both ends to that. Okay, silicon sends electricity through. And last, I'm going to take a pencil. I'm going to clip it to one end of the pencil. I want to make sure you can see that. One end of the pencil. I'm going to touch it to the other end. Your pencil will conduct electricity. Okay, so it's conductive. All right, that wraps up the lab bench. All right, the 3 lab benches. Be sure to rewatch any section that you didn't have, and I think that wraps up this portion of the video.